let's start. Welcome to a very intimate brain candy session with Preben. Preben was supposed to be here this summer, actually, but he had a minor injury with his knee. So you got operated on? Yeah, but now you're ready again and kicking. And we actually just spoke just before you came. We discussed what should be the theme of today. Because one of the things that you work on, you've also been working with the High Potential program here in Vestas, and allowing people to find their inner warrior, and so to speak. But also in terms of finding out which resources you have and what allows you to find those resources, or how you can find your inner competencies and resources. And one of the things which is relevant for a lot of you guys is what will happen on February 8th. I think it's in the back of your mind somewhere. And we thought, well, why not use this opportunity to deal with those thoughts or emotions? And that's actually the subject for today. So I hope that you are willing to take part in an interactive session. And welcome Preben to Vestas. And Preben, the word is yours now.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. Some of you have met me before, and some of you know me, but I will introduce myself a little bit later. It was funny to see you coming into the room, because you were entering the room and then you were sitting on the back row. And that's normally what we do. That's a bad habit somehow. If we really want to change our life, if we really want to do something with our life, we need to be in the front row of our lives. Meaning, instead of this attitude, always sitting behind everything safe, well, I cannot get hurt down here, no one sees me down here, it's safe here. Instead of taking that kind of approach, go to the front line, front row, and participate, because life is about participating. There's no free ride. If you take a free ride, okay, then you have to take what it gives you. So anyway, nothing is free, so instead of waiting for things to come to you, do it. Go on to the front row. On the chair there's a little piece of paper, and on this paper there is my little company name called WolfWay, and it also say knowing the way or going the way. There's quite a difference between these two expressions, because knowing the way allow us to discuss it, debate it, have an opinion, be critics, everything. But it is free to know stuff. To go the way is quite different, because now you have to translate all your knowings into actions. And there might be consequences when we translate those things into actions. And we have to live with these consequences. So there's a quite difference between knowing the way and going the way. And it is also a decision you have to take with yourself, or make with yourself. Am I willing to go the way, or am I just willing to know the way? But the same thing here. If you choose to go the way, there might be consequences, but it is a fun way to go. It is really fun. And it can be tough as well. Okay. My job was actually to get you to know how to tap into your inner resources, because the times which are approaching or coming up can be difficult, can be tough times, tough decisions, tough informations to receive and stuff like that. So how do we cope with it? It will be a good thing to know how to cope with stuff. And I will try to give you my perspective of that part as well. You know, to make changes, you need to own stuff. You need to have a kind of a passion. You need to really want stuff. Otherwise, it's academic. So somehow you need to take a decision and then own stuff. And I will try to go this way. Okay, about myself. You know, you get to know a little bit about me. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense what I'm saying. And you can see here. I'm born and raised on a farm, meaning that born and raised on a farm together with 9 sisters. We are 10 siblings. That's quite a number of siblings. But I managed to get through with all those girls around me. So that was a nice thing. But anyway, born and raised on a farm means that I learned a lot about tools. I learned a lot about planning from my early days. Nowadays we are participating in project management leadership courses here and there and programs here, this and this. But actually my father told me what was needed to get a good crop. And that was quite simple. Make a good preparation. If you do a proper preparation in front of everything, well, and have a little bit patience, water it and fertilize the crops a little bit, then it will grow and you will be surprised what's coming up all the time. And that was quite simple. And actually he taught me that life it's not a tough job. It's actually quite simple if you take it the right way. So he taught me a lot about planning and how to translate planning into simple things. And you can see afterwards, my childhood, I had a career in the army where I learned a lot about myself as well, meaning spending about 25 years in the army. You learn a lot. I'm actually ranking as a major and have a very intensive leadership training behind me through all those years. Actually, I ended up in the Danish Special Forces called Jaeger Corps. I don't know if you have heard about it, but I'm actually number 197. And I'm very proud of it because only since 1961, only 373 persons have passed this selection course. So I am actually a member of a very, very elite group and a very, very elite way of dealing with things. And the way they deal with things in the Jaeger Corps is quite different from the rest of the army because it doesn't work when it really counts. I'm also a special elite sportsman, meaning that I love nature. It's fantastic to be there. I love to do sports, and actually through the sport I learned a lot. I'm actually have been on the national team on orienteering, but also on the national team in fencing. Meaning today, if I take a sword in my hand, my body do special things immediately because immediately I go on my tiptoe and I become very light the minute I put in this in my hand. But if I don't have this sword in my hand, well, I go like normal. But the minute I take this, I free a lot of memory from my whole body and turns into electricity or energetic things. I've been a change agent in Lego where I learned to transform all my leadership training, all my military career into business. And that was quite easy because it was the same. I thought it was quite different, but it wasn't. It was quite the same. And due to my childhood, it was very easy to implement as well. Then I'm owner of 3 small companies dealing with leadership training, team building, coaching, and stuff like that. It's fun. It's about human beings all the time. And in my spare time, I'm a skipper on my own folk boat. I have a little 8-meter long folk boat, sailing boat, and I love to sail in this boat here. It brought me to the harbor in Vejle, and almost immediately I became chairman of the sailing club, yacht club in Vejle, and I learned a lot there as well. So this is a little bit about me and where I come from, and those things I will share with you come from this kind of life. The funny thing, when we are talking about life, there are certain milestones in everybody's life. And if you look here, there are some person who somehow disturbed me. You know, we are having a good time and we think everything is okay, but suddenly a person shows up and say, hey, how can it be that you're doing like this and this and this? Or, hey, you are fantastic. Or whatever. Someone suddenly showed up and disturbed my opinion about myself, my self-picture somehow, self-image somehow. And the first person who disturbed me was, of course, my father, who was very into teach me everything, because I was naturally his son, and his son should be, well, king of the world somehow. He had a lot of expectations on my behalf, and I have difficulties in living or what do we call it, free these expectations. But anyway, he taught me a lot about stuff in the farming way, and showed me how easy things actually are. And he also showed me not to be afraid in the dark. He also showed me how to do fishing and be on my own all the time, to be confident in myself. And that was actually a very important learnings from the start. I was only a few years old when this teaching started. The next person who came into my life somehow was actually my grandmother. Because, as I told you from the beginning, we were 10 siblings on the farm. And there was a lot of activities going on, and there was a lot of crawl and stuff like that. And at a certain time, I think it was too much, and then I somehow drifted a little bit, because my grandparents actually lived next door on the other side of on the road, and therefore it was easy for me to go from the farm and to their houses. And my grandmother, she actually saw me, instead of teaching me all the stuff around here, this you should be good of this and good of this and that and all this, she actually saw me, meaning keep an eye on me, looked at me and say, "Hey, Preben, you're nice, I love you," and I was taken care of, and I felt pretty good around my grandparents because they loved me. And of course, with all this love, I got spoiled, you know that. Because then you can do whatever, and you will always get forgiveness at my grandparents. So I turned actually into a kind of a rude and nasty young fellow, normal teenager, but always knowing that I could go to my grandparents to get forgiveness all the time. And they were always my spokesman, meaning when I should back to my parents and tell them this and this and this, I have always my grandmother or my grandpa in my hand, and therefore I got away with it. So they were nice to me, and I learned a lot. But they learned, she learned me actually. She saw me, and that gave me a lot of self-esteem and a lot of self-confidence at the same time, because she saw me. She saw the qualities in me. She saw what I could. And she also supported my dreams or my wishes for this and this and this and this. And that was fantastic, because if she hadn't been there, well, I might have been some other place in this world. I'm happy for her. The next person who actually went into my life and made a big step or difference in my life was actually a lieutenant, because in the age of 20, I was drafted to what we call Bornholmsværn. Bornholmsværn is an island. It's the fist of the army in the eastern direction from the old time. And therefore on Bornholm, that was a long way from home, meaning that at that time where I was drafted, you have to be on the island for the whole week. The service ended typically Saturday afternoon about 3 or 4 o'clock, and the ferry to Zealand or to Copenhagen left at 4 o'clock. So if you not were quite in order at 4 o'clock, then you had to stay until the next day. And then, well, normally we have to stay the weekend over. And sometimes it took months before I showed up in my parents' home. So Bornholm was a long way from home. But I learned to stay there, and I learned a lot about myself, a lot about surviving somehow, without my parents, without my grandparents, and all this. So that was actually a kind of a cutting loose process which took place over there. But he also saw some qualities in me, meaning that I took actively part in the service. That this lieutenant saw me as a candidate to non-commissioned officer duties as well, and I was picked as a non-commissioned officer, meaning it's a kind of, well, it's the same as being sergeant, drafted sergeant in the army. And I took this training and this education afterwards. And actually, until I was drafted, I was drifting a little bit as a teenager around and couldn't find out what I actually want to do in life. But this actually put me on a track somehow. And then I felt I was in the right place. I was interested. I was motivated. I was a lot of things, because suddenly everything took off, and I went into a kind of a career, not a kind of a career, I went into a career. And actually, with a steep curve, after my non-commissioned training, I went actually immediately on the officers' academy afterwards, the military academy. So he actually believed in me also. He also told me that I had some certain qualities that I could do more than I thought I could do. So he somehow made me think that, well, hear the expression, you can do 10 times more than you think you can do, and 100 times more than you think your mother can do, more than think you can do. And therefore, here it started out somehow. Here I started believing myself. It started my whole career in the army. So the next person is actually a non-commissioned officer called Peitersen. Peitersen was a physical trainer at the Garda Hussar Regiment, southern part of Zealand. And he saw also some qualities in me, because it was easy for me to find around, to get around in the country. So orienteering, well, somehow I was, how do we call it, a little bit, doesn't matter. But it came easy to me, and therefore he said, well, why don't you practice orienteering, because it's the way forward. And that got me into, actually set me into motion, and I ended up at the national team in orienteering as well. So this guy actually also told me something that put me into motion in a certain direction as well. And then in '84, I actually managed to be a part of Jägerkorpset, the Special Forces unit, and there I actually was responsible for all training, all practice. For a period, I was chief of staff up there as well, meaning that I was responsible for developing all those young guys who want to become a Jäger and who wants to unfold their full potential somehow. And that was fantastic, because that was a kind of a experimentarium where you could actually do whatever you wanted to unfold these youngsters. So up there, I really saw what it takes to unfold our full potential, and I'm still living all my insights from that time. And of course, sailing is also telling me or teaching me a lot, because when I'm out sailing, I can practice almost all my skills, meaning I can do leadership with my crew. I can find my way from point to point. I can control the waves. I can control the wind. I can control the current. And I can control my competitors when we are doing our competitions on the fjord as well. Meaning out here, I can go in and control almost everything and get immediate feedback. If I'm doing bad in one of these areas, what will happen with my boat? Lag behind within a short time. So I need to do my very best all the time when I'm sailing, if I want to win. Okay, so here I can practice a lot of things and still somehow sharpen my own saw. Meaning if I get lazy, I can see it immediately. So if I get behind, then I need to pull up the socks somehow. Okay, and this is what I got out of it. You can see here, meeting those persons in my life, they gave me self-worth. They gave me self-esteem and self-confidence, which are very important when we are walking around, when we are presenting stuff, when we are communicating with each other, when we are positioning in front of each other. Then it's very important that we can handle both self-esteem but also self-confidence. Also, synergy is very important. How do we actually create synergy? Synergy is where we get a lot more out of a lot less. So how do we actually do that? It also learned me a lot about my personal approach to stuff. What does it actually take to become a kind of a success, or to become to win the race, or to deliver the goods, to do what are expected. I also learned how to bounce back every time you found yourself in trouble somehow. We need to find out how we bounce back. Now you are facing stuff in February, and you need to know how to bounce back all the time, because if you are not bouncing back, then bad things can happen. And also I found my inner warrior. And now I would like to challenge you a little bit, because to develop ourselves, to get to know about ourselves, it's not a spectator's job. It's actually, you need to involve in this one here. So therefore, what I want you to do is do a kind of an A-B exercise. And an A-B exercise look like this. You need to find a partner. Look around in the room. Find a partner. It must be one you don't know, you haven't spoken to before. So find a partner and define who's A and who's B. And when you have done that, then we need to interview each other, meaning that A interviews B and vice versa. And the questions you are asking is actually, who saw you? Who started your development? Who was a part of that when you were a child, or when it took place? It might have happened only 2 years ago for some people. For us, it's when you are a child. So who saw you actually? What are the story before and after you were seen? And have you said thank you to that person? Meaning, do you take things for granted, or do you appreciate what took place at that time? So what I would like you to do is now, look around in the crowd and find a partner you haven't spoken to, or you don't know, or you haven't relation to that close. And then you team up 2 and 2. You can go around, you can stand up, you can sit over there, but don't leave the room. And then you have to define who's A and who's B. Any questions? Look around. Go for it. Come on. Okay, how was it? Just to talk to a stranger about things way back, for some of you maybe. How was that? Quick remarks? Say something? How was it? Interesting. Okay. Someone say, it's fascinating. Okay, yeah. It's a turn a little bit upwards. Okay, what else did you come up with? Was it good to hear each other's story?
It's inspiring because you can see some sentences.
Exactly. But when I looked upon you, when you were discussing and sharing information here, it was suddenly your body language got something into motion as well, and your eyes, you were looking into the person you were interviewing's eyes as well, so that you had close contact. And you know, when we have close contact, we are putting or sending our messages on a broadband instead of just babbling like this. We are in a completely different room when we do this. So this is what communication is all about. Get eye contact, and then things can happen. Interesting. We will try this a couple of times more. Okay, let's go on. Let's go on, because we have a lot of territory to cover as well. Synergy, I talked a little bit about synergy. Where do I find synergy? What is it that actually are in place if synergy should happen? And back to my service in the Jägerkår, we operate with this kind of formula, this roadmap you can see here. There is 7 steps in this roadmap. There is a step called why, who, what, how, execute, wow, and learnings. And those 7 steps, if you concentrate, or if you put all those 7 steps into motion and do a proper job, then it will secure success all the time. It will also secure synergy. It's very important that the why is in place, meaning why are we doing this? What are we actually doing? And the why is actually that the participant in a certain project or whatever task or assignment you have, that you understand the assignment. And the only thing you can do that is knowing why. The next is, if anyone else is involved in this, you need to know who is involved. And that takes a lot of work as well, because you need to gain trust in each other. Trust in each other, secure that you can get around the what, all the hot potatoes, all the interfaces, all the economics and stuff like that. Really tough job to deal with, and really tough to get around. But if you have done a proper job on the who step here, then you are so confident in each other that you are able to talk to those persons about these very hot issues easily. So the why, the who, the what. The what is actually when you split up everything, then you know whose responsibilities is it, the interfaces, consequences and stuff like that. It's easy to share those things if we have faith and confidence and trust in each other. And the next one is, if we know, understand what we are up against, we know the persons who are in it, we know the drill, then we can also make commitment on how we are going to carry this out, meaning what are the economics, what are the resources, what are the structures, what are the employees, what are the goal for this and this task assignment. So if this is in place, you can get a real commitment. When we have a real commitment, then we can execute, because then we have agreements, meaning step by step we know who's going to do what, and we have actually done a handshake on stuff, meaning that if we have done a handshake on stuff, then I believe or expect that you will deliver the goods as we agreed on. So execution should be no problem. And when we have done that a couple of times, meaning, for instance, put up a wind turbine with the fundament and stuff like that several times, then it should be easy to do it afterwards, meaning we are close to what we call synergy, the wow effect, the effect where things come as an extra effect. And here we can have extra time, we can find extra resources, because we will be ahead of everything if we are working in this area. And the last one is actually learnings. Every time we have done a job, a project, assignment, whatever, always take a time out to find out what is working and what is not working. And what is working, we keep on doing that, because that is actually working. That is a good thing. The thing is not working, you have to decide on it. Are we actually going to get rid of it, or are we actually going to deliver or develop it instead? Because you need to take decision on those not working. So learnings is very, very important. So make a kind of a, I don't know what you call it up here, but a kind of an after-action review all the time, and share all the learnings so we get wiser. Okay? Very often we are a little bit unconscious about what we are doing. So all these evaluations or after-action reviews, or whatever we call it, is about getting conscious about what took place so we can use it again. It's very important to take these timeouts and do it. But actually, to gain the synergy effect, you need to have those in place first. And if you don't feel, and if you don't realize, or if you don't see synergy effect in your work, then it might be because the execution is lousy performed. It might be because the commitment is not in place. It might be because the interfaces or roles, responsibilities is not in place as well. And if that is not in place, it might be because we have not invested in knowing each other, getting confident in each other. And finally, maybe we misunderstood the job. Very often, when we hear about a job or assignment, we go immediately to execution. This is something we have done that before, so no need for doing that at all. But actually, this is the most important part. So the more time you spend here, you more it will you easier and quicker you will get up here. So this areas is very, very important. You can take this if you imagine. Well, I missed to take my. I have a little ball. Maybe I have it over here. Maybe. The one I have cannot bounce. Okay, what I meant to do was, if I drop this ball from this height here, how high will it bounce back? If I just drop it. Less, about this high, I believe. But if I will, with my own force, put it down to the ground, how high will it bounce back? Really high, more to the rooftop, I believe. And this is actually the same metaphor you can say here. The more you put in here, your higher bounce back you will have over here. Very often we suffer over here because we don't know what we are doing. We are going around blinded or unconscious doing what very often we say to ourselves, I have been a project leader for about 20 years. I cannot learn anything at all, so I'm the best on the job. But actually you go with blinders. So instead of going around with these blinders, take them off and do a proper job over here, and that would secure that you were working with synergy every time. But you need to stay over there for a while. Otherwise, team building, half a day, is not team building. It's amusement somehow. Entertainment somehow. Or maybe it's a kind of, it look like you are dealing with it, or you are making this as a priority, but you are not. Putting in half a day is not enough. Putting in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, the more you put into the team up front, the higher you will go over here. So instead of all this, we haven't time for this shit. Forget about it. It's the only thing you have time for, because this will be the benefit of investing in this area. Remember my words. If you do it, the wind turbines will be all over the place within no time. Okay? And who will benefit from that? You! You will keep your job if you do it that way. So this is actually a way to keep your job if you implement this simple form here and do a proper job. Okay, my approach to whatever assignment it may be is actually I want to make a success. But successes don't come by their own. You need to find out what it takes to make a success. Actually, it's only 15% skills and talent. It's 85% attitude. Attitude is something you are completely in control of. It's about what kind of attitude do you want to use today. You can actually ask yourself in the morning when you wake up, hey, what kind of day is this going to be? Very often we do not do it. And therefore, suddenly our mood, our attitude will be designed or developed through the morning. It depends on who we meet on the road on our way to work, or if all the toys is in our way, or we stumble outside the door, or whatever taking place, that will sometimes decide what kind of attitude we will meet the rest of the day with. But if you decide from the morning, today I'm going to make a difference. Today I'm going to smile everybody. I'm going to do whatever it takes. No matter what, I will just smile to everybody. You can do it. But very often, it's a tough assignment. But it isn't. It is an easy assignment. You can choose in the morning. So this is very important that you choose this, because this will decide your level, your flight level somehow during the day. And I want to show you a little drawing here about being above the line, because being above the line is actually the kind of approach you want to do to the day. So what I like to find is always this one here. Hands above, or arms above your head. Try to do it, all of you. Look around, see what happens to you immediately when you do this. Hey, yeah, it's maybe embarrassing. Yes, I can see that. It's difficult to do it. But it's not difficult to do it, it's just to do it. And don't give a damn about the rest of the guys. Just do it for yourself, okay? Because this feeling, when you have these arms above your head, then you have a good feeling inside your stomach. You have a good sensation as well, because this is what it's all about. So if you can somehow create this kind of sensation, this kind of feeling all the time, no matter what you are facing or what you are taking on, then you will have a good time. Because up here we have joy. Up here we are thinking in solution. We have what we call a positive vocabulary, meaning it's positive words up here. It's positive words we are using in our sentences as well. And that will, when we are using positive words, we will also somehow form our feelings inside our body. And when we form our feelings inside our body, we form our stature somehow. So when we have a good feeling, this feeling inside our body, we will stand up, we will face everything, we will straighten backs and stuff like that. It will be a quite different posture you're using if you use a positive vocabulary. And up here we take responsibility. We are giving recognition all the time, appraisals. If someone is doing a good job, say to those persons, it's a good job. Give them a hug or whatever it takes. Just do something which they felt good about, okay? Because that's what it's all about. Always see that the energy level is high. Up here you have flexibility. Up here you have surplus all the time, because, it might be this and this, so fucking what? So then we just take another stand and do it from there instead. So up here you see openness. Up here you are in the now. Up here there's a lot of energy. Energy. That's what it all takes. Try to imagine a project as a bonfire. What will happen to this bonfire if no one is adding energy, or no one is adding woods to this bonfire? What will happen? It will die out. So there's no easy solution. Someone had to do the job. Someone has to gather wood, otherwise it won't burn. Okay? And the same goes here. If you want things happen in a project or whatever it is, bring in energy. And who's going to do it? The project manager maybe, or leader or whatever, have to take responsibility and make it work. Because if someone is leading, what will happen if someone is leading the way? The rest will follow. And that's so simple. Very often we are afraid to, maybe, hey, how will they see me? Well, do I look bad, or do I look foolish, or whatever? Don't give it a damn. Do it, because the rest will follow. So be in the now and try to use this energy here. On the other hand, if you are below the line, you will always talking about war stories in the past, or when you go pension in the future. That will be the focus areas all the time. And you'll be happy in both ends. But can you do anything about it? No. You cannot do anything about the past. And you might form the future, but it is the now. In the now, you can do a difference. Down here, we have a lot of control. Have you experienced control? Very tight budget, stuff like that? Yeah, okay. It's here. Rigid plans, have you tried that as well? It's down here. Limitations, have you tried that? Have you heard that word before? Limitations is down here. Very fragmented problems. Every time we are talking about problems somehow. We are, to a certain degree, afraid of what's taking place in front of us, or the consequences of what we are dealing with. Things happen for those below the line, and those guys down here are tapping energy. Have you met people where you get immediately tired when you meet them? They can tap you for all energy within, almost a split second. Have you met people like that? Okay. Be careful of those people, because they can slow the pace easily, because they are simply tapping all the energy. Those guys, we are calling them oboes in Denmark, because oboes in Denmark, they are actually those who live by janteloven. It's those who really don't want things to happen, and therefore can draw or tap all the energy. But those guys, or those people, we can have them in three classes. We can have them lightweight, middleweight, or heavyweight. So now imagine a middleweight leading a project meeting or a meeting in a department. What will happen with that meeting led by a person? Some of you are very easy into look to the clock, or maybe the laptop goes on the table, and suddenly you disappear from the meeting, and you are doing your own. Have you heard about that before? Okay, that's normally what happens if the meetings are controlled by a lightweighter. But if you have a heavyweighter, what will happen then? Absolute zero, and that's not good. So get rid of those. That would be my. Okay. Bouncing back, we need to know what we have to do when we are facing stuff we don't like. When situations somehow get bad in different ways. The first thing, if a situation is coming here, it could be the 8th of February. It's coming in very, very, very quickly. It's what happens to all of us somehow? We go into denial and say, it's not right. It's the third time they're doing this, or whatever. Is that right? Have you been there? Yeah, you have been there. And somehow you tell yourself a little bit, maybe they don't mean it. They are only teasing us a little bit. But I don't think, I think they mean it this time. So you will find yourself over here between denial and reaction very often when your job is at stake somehow. What will happen to you? Get frustrated, demotivated, defense position, elbow, yes. Maybe we gain weight to become a really heavy elbow, yes. What else? Anger, yeah. And how long can we stay over here? For a really long time. Some people who, in Denmark we have an expression called gå i hundene, meaning that actually they are leaving the scene and disappear behind drugs, alcohol and whatever, and they can be disappeared for, take care. Take care. Medicine, alcohol, drugs, whatever, keep the bad situation away, okay? So suddenly you will find yourself, what? Chocolate. Yeah, chocolate, for instance, but then you'll get heavy in another way, okay? So you can find yourself in different reactions over here, but still denial. The funny thing is, what it takes is actually to accept the situation. You need to accept it. You need to see. The way it is the way it is because it's decided on a higher level and you cannot do anything about it right now. But the minute you accept it, the way it is the way it is, then you can start functioning. Then you can start functioning despite of the situation. Meaning now you get creative. Now you're starting to get around this issue coming in here. Meaning either getting much more creative, coming up with a new idea how to solve this and this and this. And suddenly you find a way to add to the value line in general. Maybe that will save your job somehow. So here you go into function. Here you actually go in and get control over your life again. But you need to accept the situation. If you say, yeah, it's okay, but still over here, nothing happens. You need, in a real way, to go over here, otherwise you won't function. Okay? So this is very important. That happens to all people. That happens to our children. That happens when I'm driving too fast on the highway as well. And the only car that can follow me is the white one with the blue light, you know. And suddenly I find myself, denial and reaction. Maybe I try to minimize the fine a little bit or way to do it. But anyway, when the policemen come up to me, then I somehow accept it. Is that right? Is that what we do normally? I cannot. I might hit myself 2 or 3 times. Say, you idiot. But it doesn't matter. If I really want to go around, then I have to accept the situation, pay the fine, and get on. And that's it. That's also for the rest of our lives. We need to accept what takes place around us. So bouncing back is very important because to do this, we need to find what is it actually that I use to bounce back all the time. If I imagine myself as a ball again, then what is it that bounce back all the time? What kind of energy? What is it actually? So I would like to do another exercise with you. A and B, you know the drill. But this time, find a new partner. Okay? A and B, same thing. But this time, I would like you to have a seat around here, not hide out there. And I would like you to sit like this. Find 2 chairs and sit like this in front of you. Like, okay, that's the difference from last time. Okay. And when you have found a new partner, then ask questions. Can you think of the situation where you are telling yourself, this is a lie, this is wrong, this is not fair? How did you react? How did you bounce back? Where did you find your energy? Where did you find your energy? Okay. So that's the question. Find a new partner. Sit, chair against chair. Yeah. Come on, guys. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Okay, welcome back. So, can anyone of you tell me how you bounce back? How do you bounce back? When you're facing difficulties, troubles, whatever, how do you actually bounce back? What are the energy you are using? Anyone giving an example? Come on, guys. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Talking and reflecting, yes, okay. That could be one.
I will do whatever it takes to make sure that if I lose this fight we have in front of us in February, that okay, I have a second place to go, or have it in place up front just in case. You know, that's I guess what 95% of everybody here will do. Update their CVs and so on, just in case.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. What else? Come on, guys. Shh. Let's share a little bit. What kind of energy are we using?
I usually use strategy because I need to know what to do and then do it. For instance, for February, I thought of how do I think the organization will look like after February, and then I've started to try and map it and to see whether I think I'm part of it or not. So that's the analytic approach.
Okay. What else? Oh, okay.
I look at what I can do anything about and what not. I mean, if I can't do anything, then I don't waste negative energy on it.
Okay.
So I look at the facts and that's it. Then I just
go from there.
Be where I can make a difference.
Okay. Okay.
What
Thank
I
you.
can do.
Thank you. Thank you. We put it down here somewhere. Okay. Thank you. This is about what we are doing, and reflect a little bit about it, because we very often see situations we have to bounce back from, and you're more confident, you're more conscious you are about things taking place in front of you, you're better. Okay? So look into this. How do I actually bounce back? But also, where do I find my energy? It's actually going around using energy. You need to refuel here and there, same way as you do in a car. So know where the tanks are, okay? It's the fuel station, where are they in your life? Where can you just pull in and get a refueling? If you know that, then you will never be stuck. You will always have a surplus. You will always have the opportunity to go forward if you can do a refueling. So know the gas stations in your life. Okay, it's very important. Okay, the last part of it is actually your own spirit and power. Your own spirit and power. It's about your dreams. How often do you dream? Have you dreams? Have you hopes? Yes, you're saying it with a small voice, meaning my dream is nothing. I don't like my dream. Well, what will the other think about my dream? Meaning, our dream will very often be in our head. If our dreams stays in our head, what will happen to those dreams if they stay up here? Nothing. They will stay up there. They will just fill. So dreams in your head is nothing. Dreams or hopes taken out of your head, put on paper, somehow making dreams and hopes manifest somehow. Helps a lot, meaning now you can break it down, now you can use the strategy, now you have some facts. Until you have taken the dreams out of your head, it's nothing. It's only dreams, it's only noise somehow. So you have to take out your dreams, put them on paper, and then you can break them into pieces, and then you can put them together into a kind of an action plan, giving meaning to you. So it's very important to take out the dreams and the hopes and make them manifest. The next thing is faith in. You need to believe in what you try to do. If you don't have faith in what you are trying to achieve or accomplish somehow, if you don't have the faith, then it will never happen. So you need to have faith in stuff, because if you have faith in it, then you can give it a little bit more, then you give it 10% more, and then you invest a little bit more, then you put yourself at stake. As long as you go safe, nothing will happen, or it will be a low accomplishment, nothing we are talking about. But if you really put yourself at stake, using all the resources, giving everything, then it might happen. Communication skills is very important nowadays. For instance, in this company, it's very important to communicate as well. And you don't have to participate in communication skills courses or programs, because you have everything on board. Just see what happened here. You could easily talk to strangers. You could easily share some of your deepest thing without anything. So you don't have to participate in programs to learn that. You have it already on board, and it is there. It's just a matter of daring. Do I actually dare to do it? And here you were forced to do it, but what happened? Did you die? Almost, yeah, in the beginning, but after a minute, I start living again. So it's very important, just do it. Just do it. Energy, energy, energy. Ability to create shining eyes. Ability to create shining eyes is about selling. It's about communication. It's about doing it the right way. So those we are communicating to actually hook on and looks into your eyes and start keeping a kind of eye contact all the time, so we understand what is actually taking place. It's very important that we do a proper preparation so we know what we are dealing with when we are communicating. Otherwise, if we don't own what we are communicating, what happens then? Again, nothing. Or maybe we have heard something. Yeah. But it won't take place. The change won't take place unless it comes from here. So you need to own the stuff you are communicating, otherwise it won't happen. So I would like you to look into your ability to create shining eyes. So what I would like you, as the last part of this little exercise, is actually, what could you work on right now that make the biggest difference in your life? What could you work on right now that will make the biggest difference in your life? What could you work on right now? How could you make that more measurable, meaning achieving the goal? And what action could you take that would make sense this week? Meaning when you are leaving this room, actually you know what to do to go in the right direction. Really implementing a kind of a change for yourself, okay? But write those questions down and ask yourself those questions when you are in the car, or maybe those you are driving with, so you can have a nice conversation back to whatever, Aarhus, Aalborg, or whatever you're going to, maybe just Randers. But you will have a nice, very, very, very important discussion going on, and you can learn from it. Instead of babbling about the weather and everything you cannot control, talk about something you can control. That's important, okay? So ask those questions in the car, having a party in the car, so you get enlightened when you're getting out of the car. What will happen inside the house when you are entering the house like this, with your hands above your head, filled with energy and stuff like that? What will happen to the missus, the mister, and whatever? Well, they go crazy, but they get used to it. Okay, and suddenly that will be your daily life, and you will have a nice life. So, maybe you can make an agreement, as Sarah did here. I will ask you those questions tomorrow. Okay, find 5 or 10 minutes tomorrow and do the job tomorrow. Okay. That was all for me. I hope you have enjoyed the afternoon and learned a little bit about what you actually can do yourself with your life to find your own inner resources, how you can tap into those. That was all. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.